Our government made a deal with the extraterrestrials that they could abduct us, you, me, anytime that they want. Now, there was a few conditions that came along with this, and that was one being they must not harm us. And number two, they needed to erase our mind. And number three, give the big secret keepers a list of everyone who they have abducted. Now, if you think that's strange enough, another part of this, during 1947 and 1953, there was 53 alien crashes. Yes, I have them in this document tonight. But one thing that stood out the most was a crash that contained 17 aliens, and they had cargo. And you want to know what that cargo was? Human body parts. Now, what baffled me the most is when I found out that the Rockefellers, yes, that family, had ties to the greatest cover-up of all time. Now, what you're about to hear in this video tonight, as I would say to you, is Roderick Martin with High Strangeness. You may not believe it.
Objects in the sky, we don't know exactly what they are.
Of landing a man on the moon, and
Have you heard, have anyone been murdered?
I have to be careful asking that question.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Your eyes is useless when your mind is blind. Welcome back, Truth Seekers, and hope that you had a great holiday and Christmas and you got everything that you wanted or provided to your loved ones everything that they wanted. And for those of you who did not get anything under your tree, I want to tell you personally, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we got a great thing that we're going to talk about tonight. And hopefully you're sitting down somewhere because I have a report from some of my insiders now. Yes, we got some insiders that we get some information from. 53 pages. Now, I doubt that we have an opportunity to go through it all because I would have to read most of it to you. But we're going to go through a few of these things that is going to blow your mind. But what it is going to do is let you know one of the big reasons why this extraterrestrial cover-up is one of the biggest things in history and why it probably will continue to be as we push down for more disclosure. Now, what we will know is this. There's a few key players. There's a few things that are happening behind the scenes, and I think it's something you want to know about. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to sit here going into the new year knowing it is real out there when it comes down to these extraterrestrials. So anyway, I'm Roderick Martin, and hopefully, once again, that you had a great Christmas. And if you haven't had an opportunity, make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you haven't done it already, hit the alert button so that you can get notifications every time I upload or go live, and we can do that right now. I got a great conversation. I have a document here. It's the secret government. It's about MJ-12. It's about some of the things that's going on. I'm going to kind of skate through some of this stuff for you. We're going to engage into some conversations, and we'll start into some of the great parts of this. But at the end of the day, I may try to figure out a way where you yourself may want a copy to read this. It's 53 pages, and I promise you, if you sat down and read, I couldn't get past page 15 without just sitting back baffled, and I've been in this for a long time, a very long time. So we'll figure out a way that maybe I can upload it somewhere, or maybe, you know, yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll go through the purpose, and I won't make sure everybody doesn't have it, but those of you who want it, you're going to be able to get a copy of that as well. A great part about this, that tonight's show, as you know, that I want you to know that we are supporting the Phenon app. Make sure that you get a copy and download this app on your Android or iOS. This is where we're going to crowdsource UFO sighting, paranormal events, all the things and above, and you can do it right here on this app. And as they continue to make our group section, we all will be able to communicate as we upload projects and things together. So again, let's give a shout out to the All right, so let's get right down to it and get into our conversation for today. And I am excited about what we're going to talk about. Number one, I'm going to go over a few things with you. And basically, I want you to know that this all happened back in 1940s and through the 1953, 60, as we have all these different projects. Tonight, you're going to hear about several secret projects that our big secret keepers were having at the time, a few key players as well. One of the things that, and one of the main people were here is President Truman at the time, who said that they were, the government was dealing with World War II before all of this UFO thing. And I know most of us are familiar with Roswell, New Mexico, where there was a crash. Then there was debris on Mac Brazo's ranch and how he recovered it. And then the great cover-up began when they said, okay, it was weather balloons. And then we find out that the military took everything over to Wright-Patterson's Air Force Base and all these other places. Everything was dispersed out. We had bodies. We had people covering up the story. This thing just grew. Now, one of the questions most of us ask ourselves, why do we want to know, or why is it a big secret when it comes down to what's happening in this extraterrestrial space? Now, you have to take into account what we're really talking about and what is at stake. This is not a Jeffrey Epstein or whatever house where all of this, illegal stuff was going on. That was bad enough. We're talking something bigger. Yes, there could be things that are bigger than what was happening there. And we're talking worldwide. We're talking global. We're talking the origin of humans themselves, our whole deity when it comes down to religion. We're talking political power, global power. There are so much implications when it comes down to the biggest of all secrets, which is this extraterrestrial thing. Now, I was always never a proponent to the Galactic Federation. You've seen me do a lot of talk about that. I've done a lot of videos where we talk about who could be part of it. Are they here to protect Earth? Are they here to protect civilization? What all those purposes. I've done several videos. If you haven't seen them, go back and check those out. But one of the things that I discovered in this document, yeah, there is a Galactic Federation. There is some people that was there because there is a notation in here that at one point in time in the 50s and 60s, and I'm not going to get into the total detail, but they came. There were some ships that came, and there were some deals that needed to be made, and there are some other people that intervened who was not from Earth to also say, hey, we can't let this happen. And all of this went down under our secret government. Yes. Oh, my God. This is one of those deals. I'll look into the chat, give a quick shout out to those of you here today. We got Summer in the house, James in the house, Beginnings in the house, Sonia's here, World News, Rita. Then we have EJ in the house, Veronica's in the house. We have Diana's in the house, our godmother of the channel. We have the Serious Poems is in the house, as well as a few others, Laura, and I'll scroll up. So Aaron is in the house. But anyway, I just want to say, and Destiny Rock is in the house, which is D, as y'all know. We'll go with it. And Celeste is in the house with us this night as well. So thank you all for being here. All right, so I'm just going to get down into a few of these things. This document talks about the United States government discovered that an alien spacecraft piloted by, listen to me, insect-like beings from a total incomprehensive culture had crashed in the desert of New Mexico. Now, we've heard of the grays and all of those things, but this thing is saying that there were some insect-type aliens from an incomprehensible culture that had crashed in the desert of New Mexico. Now, a lot of this stuff happened, as I would say, between 1947 and December 1952. Now, pay close attention to what I'm about to read to you. There was at least 16 crafts or down alien crafts, okay? And make no mistake about what you're hearing today. This is totally one of the things that we want to really think about. But anyway, there were 65 alien bodies, and one live alien was discovered. Now, this is due a time period of 1947 and 1952. All right. Another part of this was an additional alien craft had exploded and nothing was recovered from that incident. And of these incidents, 13 occurred within the borders of the United States, not including the craft that disintegrated in the air. And of these 13, one was in Arizona. If you're familiar with that, 11 in New Mexico. We've had a lot of those stories. And one was in Nevada, and 3 occurred in other foreign countries. And of those, one in Norway, Norway, and then the last two was in Mexico. Now, these sightings in UFOs were so numerous that the serious investigations and debunking of each report became impossible, utilizing the existence intelligence assets. So what you're going to find out is what I made the discovery is that what we thought some of these entities that was put in place today and what their operation orders are today was totally different when they first was formed, and the reason that they was formed, because at some point the extraterrestrial story was the biggest thing since sliced bread, but also posed a huge threat to humanity, our psychic, our religion, our way of life, our financial thing, the whole ball of wax. And like I said, there's nothing on this planet that could be going on that could affect the entire planet at once on a global scale, except for some, we know, destruction. But what I'm going with is in the day, there's so much happening, but none of this stuff could hit that particular level. Now, the alien craft was found on February the 13th, 1948 on the mesa near Aztec, New Mexico. We probably heard about that. But another craft was located on March 25th, 1948 in the Hart Canyon near Aztec, New Mexico. And this was a big one. It was 100 feet in diameter. And a total of 17 alien bodies were recovered from those two craft. I hope you're sitting down for what I'm about to read to you next. And I hope that the children are not listening to what I'm about to say next. And if they are, I'll give you a moment of silence to put them up, because the stuff we're going to talk about tonight is not PG at all. I'm serious, okay? And I'll pause for station identification. Beep. Okay, so anyway, we'll keep going. A total, and I warned you, a total of 17 alien bodies were recovered from those two craft. Of those, the greatest significance was the discovery of a large number of human body parts stored within both of these vehicles. This is what changed everything. When they don't talk about this a lot because you're not supposed to. But at this point, it makes a lot of sense from a lot of stories that we heard. But at this point, this is one of the things. Yes, as James would say, viewer discretion is a must. Yes. 17 alien bodies, and then there was human body parts. Now, when I heard that or read that last night, and I just knew I had to come on and read this to you, I was floored because I've been in this for years. And okay, I've heard stories of abduction, yeah, all the time. I've heard story, oh yeah, we got the cattle things that happen to cows. We hear some stories. And then you got everybody out there that tends to say, okay, they come in peace. Now, what I'm going to tell you is this. There is a plethora of different extraterrestrial species out there. We're going to go over this a little bit tonight. So there are good ones and there are bad ones. And so not all of them are, kumbaya. And there are some that come here and there's a problem with what they do when they come here, okay? Now, they felt that a demon had reared its head, and the paranormal quickly took hold of everyone in the know. So this is why I want you to understand this. So everybody who is in the know panicked. The public didn't know about this, and I wouldn't have told you either. I'm telling you, if I found a spacecraft sitting outside and that bad boy had a bunch of body parts put in it, I would have not told you at all, because that is one thing you have to think about before you scare the world. And those are things that you might have to just go to bed with, because at this point, what do you do? Hey guys, and we can't defend ourselves at some point for some of this. So now you just take the whole lid off it all. So the secret lid immediately became above top secret in our government and was screwed down tight. So they're saying is when they found out about this, they tightened that bad boy up. And you don't blame them. You can't blame what we're talking about tonight, because it's serious and it's real. But if they did make that type of discovery, wouldn't you want to keep it covered as well? Wouldn't you want not to have a world panic and all of that stuff? No, I don't think, we can probably handle the fact that there may be life out there, but you're not going to handle the fact that there's something out there that's collecting some people out here. And so not in this point. So the security blanket was even tighter than it opposed to the Manhattan Project. So you already know that was one of the biggest things, the Manhattan Project. And now you're talking something that was tighter in security from there as well. So in the coming years, these event was to become the most closely guarded secret in the history of the world, and they're still fighting for this. And I've always said it, and y'all have heard me say this. Do you really want disclosure? Do you really want it? I mean, okay, or do you just want them to sugarcoat? Yes, there's something else out there and just leave it be, go on with our daily lives and don't worry about the latter. But do we really want all of the truth? Okay, they're telling us that there are crafts out there. They're all saying that now. The UFO thing is not no more taboo. It is real. It's something flying around unidentified that we don't know what it is, and it is not coming from our other countries. Yeah, we have things that we placed in the airspace. Yes, we do. But we're talking about the things that are coming from otherworldly places, okay, that is not here and did not originate on planet Earth in our solar system or galaxy. Do we want the truth? And I honestly Rita says, I want it all. And Summer says, I want it all. Now said the latest theory on the Manhattan Project that it was designed to protect ourselves from the NHI that was discovered in the 1800s. Okay, so can we handle the truth? That is the next part of that. And so let's go into it. All right, so there was a special group of American top scientists were organized under what they call Project Sign. So make sure you write this down because there are about 6-7 projects. Start doing some research on your own. But this was in December of 1947, and Project Sign was initiated for the phenomenon. Now, the nasty business was contained within the shroud of secrecy, and Project Sign involved into Project Grudge. See, these things move, man. They move them from project to project to hide when somebody discovers something. So Project Grudge came into place in 1948. Project Sign started in 1947, evolved into Grudge. And then a low-level collection disinformation project was named Project Blue Book. Project Blue Book was never designed to get to the truth. We know this now. Hynek talks about it at some point. It was designed to create disinformation to the public, and that's what it was there for, period. And then this was Blue Book was formed under Grudge, and then 16 volume years to come with Grudge, including the controversial Grudge 13. So there was so many, which there were some other people there. And then this thing turned into a recovery team of crash discs and dead aliens. And they called this the Blue Team. It was later evolved into Alpha Team under Project Pounce. So there was a lot of different projects out there, a lot of them that was going on. But during the early years, the United States Air Force and the Central Intelligence Agency exercised complete corrupt control over the alien secret. So did you hear what I just said to you? The CIA originally, back in the 40s and 50s, was put in place to hide, to cover the alien secret. That's what their initial formation was for, the CIA. They were there to they was assigned to cover this thing up. And so that's where they started when they came. In fact, the CIA was formed by presidential executive order, first as a Central Intelligence Group, not agency at the time. And this was for the express purposes of dealing with alien presence. Later, the National Security Act was passed, establishing the Central Intelligence Agency. So what you're going to learn tonight is there's so many different compartmentalized things. And it was put together by one of the wealthiest families on this planet. And we'll talk about that. Yes, the Rockefellers. Yeah, they had their hands in this cookie jar. Whew, my God, yes. So now we're talking about the CIA, which was the Central Intelligence Group, initially was formed to cover the extraterrestrial things that was happening. And then, of course, when the national security came in, and then the act was passed. They was formed as an agency now, which operates solely by themselves. And don't let me get into this. And I do plan on talking with our insider who's with the NSA, but I definitely ran into a couple of things that's going to trip you out in a little bit later on into this conversation. Now, the National Security Council was established overseas to oversee the intelligence community and especially the alien endeavor. Now, there was a series of National Security Council memos, executive orders, removed the CIA from the sole task of gathering foreign intelligence and slowly but thoroughly legalize direct actions in the form of covert activities at home and abroad. So we're learning now, yeah, we have the CIA, we got the NSA, we got all of these different agencies have power that was given to them. And it's probably why they run independently, because there was one point that they wanted to pass the act. I forget the name of it. Sonia probably know if she's still watching, but they wanted to make sure that now all of these UFO reports were coming in together. This is where Arrow was formed, because they had so many compartmentalized reports. The Navy, the Air Force, the Army, the Central Intelligence, NSA, all of these people had their own UFO reportings. They all had their own UFO, projects, but they never communicated with each other. In fact, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Navy, a lot of them don't even like each other when it comes to at the top of this thing. And some are ruled and govern their own ways. And so therefore we have all of these factions when it comes down to it all. So that's why I think Arrow was put in place, so that we will have all of these things coming. So anyway, 1947, President Truman, and this was in December, approved the issuance of what they call the NSC-4, okay? Now, this was an entitled coordination of foreign intelligence information, and that measures the urging of securities or Secretary of Marshal Foresto. You remember him? It was some of the stories. Yeah, he was out there doing some things there. So let me get back here. Forrester Patterson, that was that, because this is why you hear the Patterson Wright Air Force Base. Now, the Director of State Department Policy and the Planning Staff, Keenan. Now, the Foreign and Military Intelligence Book 1 is what it was called, the final report of the Select Committee to study governmental operation with respect of intelligence activities. And the United States Senate, the Congress, all of these put this thing together. So in April of 26 in 1976, the directive empowered the Secretary of State to coordinate and oversee information activities designed to counter communism. And then a top secret annex to the NS4, the NS4A, instructed them to the Central Intelligence to undertake a covert psychological operations or activities in the pursuit of aims. So the CIA then changed and said, okay, we need to do psyops. We've heard of that. And of course, they started out for the aliens. But you're going to be shocked who took over that part as we go deeper into what we're hearing and everything else. Yeah, Truman and Eisenhower sold our constitutional right. They made a deal. And when you hear why that deal was made, you're going to be happy. I know. Why did I say that? When I share with y'all some of this stuff in here today, you're going to be happy that we made a deal. We're going to be happy that they made a deal. And I know Truman and Eisenhower was sitting back saying, only if they knew. Well, you're going to know some of it tonight, and we can go over it. Well, anyway, I'm going to skip some of this because I want to get back into some of this alien stuff for you so that we can keep going. There was something called the EG or ECG. And let me go back so make sure I didn't pass it up for you here, which is called the Executive Coordination Group. This was established to be a review, but to not approve covert projection proposals. So they had an executive coordination group that approves everything. Now, what another part is going to trip you out, we'll go into that. The EGG was secretly tasked to coordinate alien projects, okay? And these were established as a buffer. Now, listen to this real closely, because this is going to be real essential for you to know what is really happening right in our face when we hear these hearings, okay? So the executive coordination group, or whatever they call it, executive coordination group, which still exists today, by the way, in different fashions. These was established as a buffer between the president and the information. It was intended that this buffer serve as means for the president to deny knowledge if leaks divulge the true state of an affairs. And this buffer was used in later years for the purpose of effectively isolating succeeding presidents from any knowledge of the alien presence of that was secret and the intelligence community wanted them to know. So what they're saying here is, when we watch these hearings, okay, think about this. When we watch the hearings, and like Motrin and a lot of them sit there under oath and say, and the congressman, now I want y'all to know this is a dog and pony show. We got to make sure we understand this, okay? Follow along with me. When the congressmen are asking these people at these congressional hearings, did you know about this? And when Robert Motrin and all of them sit there in our face right there under oath and say things like, no, hell no, I didn't know. Now we're sitting back saying, oh, they're lying. They have to know. Here's what happened. This executive coordination group, which can be their secretaries or whoever it is, these people are put in between those people. Same thing with the president. So when they do have a staff meeting, a briefing of some kind, they attend the briefing, not the officials. The president didn't go. Robert Motrin, he actually did not go. But his assistant or whoever went and heard everything. And then they could relate to him what they heard, but legally under oath, they did not hear it. What I'm saying is they didn't intend it. They wasn't. And look at the words that they say. I was not briefed on that. I was not told. So even the senators that's asking the freaking questions obviously got to know that they're asking them questions that we may not understand how that particularly works. Because had they had said something like, hey, did any of your assistants go to these briefings? And they go, yeah. And you telling me your assistants don't tell you what's going on? No. They just run a roll? Yeah, that's a lie, right? But if they ask them on the oath, did you get briefed on it? They can say, no, I did not. I did not get briefed on it. I don't know. And that is their plausible deniability of what is happening. And go back to these hearings. You're going to see it right there. It's happening. And I'm sitting here because there is a political part of peace that is put together for that very reason, so that they can lie to the American people right in our faces under oath and do not go to jail and not pass go and don't collect, and they still collect their $200 because they do not need to do this. Okay. This is something that, so I want you to start watching that game when this happens so that you'll be aware that this is what's going on from there. And, so, all right, let's go further. We're going to keep going deeper. So just know that is put into place. Now, another thing about this, I'll go ahead of some of this in here, is that they know that the presidents of the United States, so when you hear a politician like a president or somebody potentially running for president say that they're going to open the UFO secrets, don't believe them. There's no way they can do that. They just can't do it because they don't have the authority or even the wherewithal to even know what these things are. Most of the people in the military, dark projects, all that, see the presidential office as a temporary employee. You got to think about this. They're only there 8 to 4 years. That's it. 4 to 8 years. That is it. But a military general who's hiding who found the alien craft in 1980, he's still there for 30 and 40 years. He's wearing his star for 40 years. By that time, he done served how many commanding in chief? 5, 4, 3. He could, so they don't have to tell them everything. They don't want to tell them nothing because what difference does it make? Although they're the most powerful person in the planet at that moment, they're not overseeing what the Rockefellers, which we're going to talk about it in a minute, put in place that hides everything, and it falls under the Bilderberg Group. Oh, you didn't see that one coming. I'm telling you, the Bilderberg Group as well. I've done stories on them. You hear about them in plain sight. They meet every year in some foreign territory. All the world leaders, last year, ChatGPT guy was there. All of these people that are discussing what happens in the world, but they were also initially, we'll get back to that, put together for the UFO alien purpose. Okay, because there was something that I'm going to discuss with you while we signed this treaty and while the world came together in the dark to make sure we wasn't, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that part just yet, but we're going to get to it. Anyway, I hope that you had a great Christmas. I didn't do much, but if you find any value tonight and you want to support the show with that little alien over there, you can. And you can do that via Cash App if you like. And if you find any value, or you just want to send a Christmas gift to the great one here, I would appreciate it if you want. Or I'll give you love for it. How about that? But anyway, so once I said, they put these buffers in place. The buffers was placed so that they could deny everything when it comes down to this. And they're doing it today. It's still doing it today. So go back and look at some of those things. Now, another part was the government then established a study panel, which met secretly and was made up of jump scientific minds of the day, the best of them. And the study panel was not called MJ12. It was another NSC memo. They was called the NSC 10-5, further outline duties of the panel. Now, these memos, secretly executive order, set the stage for the creation of MJ12, which was 4 years later. So the Secretary of Defense, James Foresto, y'all remember, began to object to secrecy. Now, go back in history books. You're going to hear about this dude, James Foresto. Now, he was the Secretary of Defense at the time. So that means he was read into most of all of this stuff. But he also began to object to secrecy, all right? He was a very idealistic person, and he was a religious man who believed the public should be told. See, religion right now is playing a big factor when it comes down to these stories. And Lou Elizondo mentioned it before, if y'all remember. There was a time that he came public and said the problem that we're having is the fact that there's some religious dogma involved. And let me give you an example. I'm glad you asked. So when you think about the fact that some of these people in these higher positions, religion that they, does not allow them to even conjure up the idea that we're alone in this universe. They just can't go there, or they're demons, or they're whatever. So imagine they are controlling the purse for us to pass any kind of bills or amendments to simply explore the possibility that we're not alone in this universe, even though we passed that point. They can't sign it. They can't sign it, not because they're not doing the duty to the American people, which they're supposed to put us first. It's because the religious ideology that they possess won't allow them to sign the documents. And that you get that now. You get that now in our families. You get that now with our friends. You get that. I was on Clubhouse. I interviewed 400 people, and the biggest battlefront was religion when it came down to this topic, period, bar none. It was religion. And so when you think about that, you have to then put that in perspective, that the same people that serve our public officials in our offices and all of those things, or those offices, have the same component in mind to where they can't do it. Now, how do we rectify that? We can't, not in our country, go that you can't serve in office because you have whatever your type of religious affiliation. That is not the deal. We that's in our Constitution. We can't do that. But shouldn't there be some of the exemption when it comes down to national freaking forget national security. We're talking global humanity security. That there just should be a prerequisite that says no, they can't. You can't go over here. You can't serve that board, or you know how they do it, committees and all that things in within our politics. So, but that's just me thinking out loud by myself. I would probably not go for that. I would want somebody who is probably a damn atheist, as far as I'm concerned, on that committee, because I don't want nothing to stop the movement, because they feel that what we're going to sign $2.8 billion of the people's money to a project that I think is all just crazy and blind, you know, or whatever. I don't know. So maybe that is something that we can think about, or you look into at this point. But anyway, Foresto at this time, like I said, he felt that the people should be told. Okay. And when he began to talk to the leaders of oppositional party and leaders of the Congress about the alien problem, he asked to he was asked to resign by Truman. So even the president of the United States at this time, Truman, got to a point when Foresto started trying to go to both sides, the left and the right. He was not trying to make this no political issue. He was making a public issue that we needed to know. So you're talking way back then that there was already a push for disclosure. So not everybody in government was trying to hide it, but I would assume what happened next that you're about to hear is why they stopped trying to, and people start going in the dark about saying, I ain't saying nothing. Because I've told y'all about my Akbach story, right? About coming to Earth and helping Earth and all those things, that ain't nobody doing that, you know, at this point. So imagine what you're about to hear right now. So he expressed his fears that too many people, and rightfully believe, he was being watched. And this was interpreted by those who were ignorant of the facts as paranormal. Foresto later was said to have suffered a mental breakdown and was admitted to the Bestas Naval Hospital. This man was, put into a naval hospital, straitjacket, at a naval base where naval guards are, probably one of the most armed places. And in fact, that he was feared that Foresto would begin to talk again because he was there. He had to be isolated and discredited. So they feared that, okay, he's in the hospital. So what if he gets better? So he can claim that I'm not sick, I'm not delusional. Then I'm going to tell everybody about this. So they didn't like that. They decided that we need to do something about it. And then sometime in the early morning of May 22nd, 1949, agents of the Central Intelligence Agency, our own people, tied a sheet around this dude's neck, fastened the other end to a fixture in his room, and threw his sugar honey iced tea and himself out the window, and the sheets tore and plummeted to his death. So they was trying to maybe hang him, but the sheets tore, and so he just kept going. He became one of the first victims of the official cover-up. Man, ain't that something to be known for, that you're the first victim of the official cover-up of the United States, that are big secret keepers, for getting ready to be the first one to get out here and tell the world that there was crafts, alien crafts, we're covering it up, we're spending our money, or your money, my money, their money, everybody's money, whoever money, Rockefeller's money, you're going to find out, on this big secret. And this guy is thrown from a window and a sheet tied around him. And we hear about these things and we can sit here and we can think, but there's a lot of eerie stories. And so you can wonder when you hear David Grush talks about how he was being, people he feared for his life, and they was doing a lot of crazy things to discredit him, phone calls to his family, himself. Why? Why would somebody do this? And it's not how they're doing it. And I've always told you, we don't care about the how. Always focus on why. How is never. I don't care what and how things are doing or how they're doing it. Please, in this world today, do not focus on what you see and how things are happening on TV. That is not the trick. The trick is for you not to ask the question why it's happening. Because when you start asking that question, why they're doing what they're doing, and then the reasons why begin to surface, then you get a whole nother viewpoint on what is going on right under our noses. And so please look at the news, watch what you watch, hear the stories, start asking why. Even it happens in law enforcement of crime every day. When there's a crime, they know somebody was shot. They know somebody was murdered. When they get to the house, they start asking why. They want to know, why did this person do it? So they backtracking. Was there a stressor or something? Or did he do this early this day? Who else did he talk to? Why? Why would this person do such a thing? Because if they can find out why, then they can explain. And that's the same thing you should do. All right. So the live alien, remember, there was a live alien that they have found in one of these crashes called EBE. You remember, extraterrestrial biological entity. Now, this is a story that takes another turn. We've had several books written. I got one that I read or have been reading that there's supposed to have been the interview that they interviewed this particular Eben or whatever they want to, EBE or whatever they want to call it. Because remember, the EBE looks like the Greys, but they're much taller. The Greys are real short, kid-like, and then people report the EBEs, which are about 7, maybe 8 feet tall or something like that. So they're pretty much bigger, but they look like them. They have the same heads and grays and everything else. Now, the name had been suggested by Dr. Vannevar Bush, and it was shortened to extraterrestrial biological entity. EBE had a tendency. Now, here's the deal. You think we got it naturally. So when they first captured this live alien, they say he had a tendency to lie. And for over a year, he would only give desired answers to the questions they was asking. It's kind of funny when they said desired questions. It's almost like we deal with that in our personal life, where you may be in a relationship or whatever, and they just tell you what you want to hear. So if you say, hey, y'all here to destroy us, yeah. And it's like, I'm just telling you what you want to hear. But this extraterrestrial was intelligent enough to know to play that game with us. Now, what you're going to hear in a moment, you may not believe it, that we went to an extent. Just wait for this one. It's coming up in a few seconds. It really is. Now, those who questioned would have resulted. In other words, so he lied and was only giving people the desired answers that they want. And those questions which would have resulted in an undesirable answer went unanswered. And so he was smart enough, again, too, not to give us something to cause us to go into a frenzy, because obviously he didn't want to disturb the ant pile, right? So he was intelligent. But at some point during the second year of captivity, he began to open up, and information derived from EBE was startling, to say the least. Now, there's a book, like I said before, that some of these notes were escaped out, or someone was mailed to a guy or a lady, and or to a gentleman, and he wrote the book. I'm not going to tell you the name of it at all, because you might not want to know all of that, and pretty much from there. So anyway, so the EBE at this time, this book, and make sure if you have not smash that like button. Okay, smash the like button if you don't mind, please. We definitely want to do that, and make sure you sign up for those alerts, because we're getting ready to go deep. I got access to hundreds of documents now and I'm gonna try to figure out a way that you can also get in on some of these documents. But we have our own insiders, and they're not giving me classified things, but things you're just not going to find out there that was put up at some point. But anyway, at some point, the compilation of his revelations became the foundation of what later be called the Yellow Book. Do y'all remember that? The Yellow Book was something that, if I'm not mistaken, Linda Moulton Howe talks about this at one point, that they had this Yellow Book, or this yellow thing, that when they could use it, that it actually told everything: our history, our lineage, the future in some cases. It's like it knew everything. And the photographs was taken of EBE, which among others, and some of these people was able to attach it to Grudge 13. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Here's where it turns around just a little bit. And thank you if you're just joining us. We're talking about a treaty that our government made about you, me, everybody, that the extraterrestrials, yes, they are here, the aliens are real, could abduct humans. And by abducting humans, they had to follow several instructions, one being bringing the human back unharmed, 2, erasing the mind, and 3, giving the big secret keepers a logbook of who all that they took. And if they followed orders like that, you wouldn't think about all these people who are out here saying they've been abducted, that the big secret keepers already know about it. They've been told. And those whose minds keep going back and forth, that only could be regressed to find those truths, actually is happening. This was part of the plan because of the technology that they had. In late 1951, EBE became ill, all right? And the medical personnel had been unable to determine the cause of his illness and had no background for which to draw. What they also discovered, though, that his body system was what they call a chlorophyll based. If you think about chlorophyll in plants, you know, there are some supplements you can take, and supposed to be really good for your body. So he processed food into energy much as the same as plants. Now, I'm going to say this. Listen to me right now. Now, I'm reading this last night, and I'm like, I want to share it with you all. But they just said that the extraterrestrial, his base of his system of anatomy was based on chlorophyll, meaning he was almost plant-based. So wouldn't that be not something that we're not could probably evolve to? Why, you know, some of you may be plant-based only, and finding out why it may work, because obviously the extraterrestrials who technology are far beyond ours, that he had a system was chlorophyll based, and he processed food into energy much the same the way plants do it. Now, I'm not saying we're plants and eat the plants, but at some point that'll be something to consider or to look into. So maybe some of you researchers will go out there and look that up, and then we can find out and see what's happening from there as well. But anyway, once again, I'm gonna say it again because I wanted to give a shout out to whoever wanted to Christmas or, you know, give any contribution to the show tonight. So whenever you do that, I want to shout you out. And I hope you find in value, because I'm bringing it, and I got a lot more to do for you in the future. So apparently, he turned the EBE system was chlorophyll based, and he processed food into energy much as plants do. The waste material was excreted the same as plants. Now, I don't know how a plant get rid of its sugar honey iced tea. Anybody know? If you do, put it in the chat. If you know anything how plants actually excrete their waste. I didn't even know they did. So we need to figure that one out. So, but if anyone you know, do that. So at the time when he was dying, they decided that an expert in botany was called out, a botanist, and which was Dr. Guillermo Mendoza. He was brought in to try to help recover. Mr. Mendoza worked in same EBE unit, and he worked there for to 1952, when unsuccessfully the EBE died. And Mr. Mendoza, as of then, became the expert on alien biology. So once again, okay, so James says O2 respiration. All right. Yeah. And remember, there was some other shows that said that the Ebens would have some kind of green stuff, and they would just rub it on their skin, and that's how they absorb food. So imagine, man, when we evolved to that ourselves, well, and that let us know to look for it, right? That's like hint, hint, that we should be formulating foods and things that our bodies would use for energy. And then at this point, we're not, taking in all these animals and different things. So I think that would be pretty cool there. So in a futile attempt, this is how desperate our government and big secret keepers are getting. And let me know if y'all enjoying this right now in the chat, because this is a document, man. And like I said, we're not going to be able to go to 53 pages. This may be a 2-part. We may do this all week to go through all of this, right? And really have a good time of doing it. But if you are really getting some value from this information, put it in the chat. Just put a 1 that or if you're learning anything new, put a 1 in the chat for me so I can know that I'm reaching just a few of you, because I thought it was exciting for you to hear what you're hearing today and put it up. So anyway, put something in the chat that you are doing this. Get ready for what you're about to hear, because over these next sequence of events, it's going to answer the question to why did the U.S. government make a treaty with aliens? And you probably are not going to see it the same way you've seen it in the past. You probably are not going to, because you're going to get some information that's not hovering all the time out here. But you're finding it here tonight on High Strangeness. All right, so we got some 1s. I want to thank you for putting some 1s that you are getting, and I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate you. And I'm really cautious to go this far, but why not? This is what we do. In a futile attempt to save the EBE, when they was trying to save this alien, and they wanted to gain favor with his technologically superior alien race, the United States broadcasting a call for help in the early 1952 into the vast region of space. So we captured this dude and he died. Somebody's panicking, saying he died. Now his homies are going to come looking for him. And we already know that they got better technology. And what did we decide to do? So we wanted to gain favor, our government. So we sent out a signal. Now, you remember we talk about Hollywood all the darn time here. We talk about Hollywood and the connection of Hollywood, that you want to pay attention to these movies, that you think that you're sitting there being entertained. Is their way of nulling the factor of what we hear and things that get released, so that they can say, no, you saw it in the movie. Remember, everything is disinformation. The positive probability. I mean, they just don't want to tell the truth about nothing. So this EBE died. And somebody in that inner circle says, oh my God, what if his race of aliens think we killed him because we held him here and didn't let him go? So we sent out this signal to gain favor. This is true stuff, by the way. Just want you to know. To gain favor with the alien race, but the call went unanswered, but the project continued as an effort of good faith. What the heck are we thinking? What good faith is? Okay, he did crash on our planet. A lot of them did. So the extraterrestrial crashed on our planet. We know this. We didn't give him a ride home. He can use your car or my car because we ain't have nothing that he can fly back home. And we couldn't repair a spacecraft if we wanted to. And he probably, see, this is part of the movie. If y'all remember the infamous line was, E.T. phone home. Remember that? See, Spielberg and them didn't make this stuff up. They just made some other parts of this thing. But we sent a message out, and now you got the movie Jodie Foster plays in, Contact. Remember, shrink, and then something answered. Remember that? Something answered, and then just threw us all in a frenzy. So President Truman at the time, now listen to this, where we're going to really get to the point, created a super secret national security agency by this executive order in November 4th, 1952. Its primary purpose was to decipher the alien communication and language, establish a dialogue with the aliens. This most urgent task was a continuation of the earlier effort and was codenamed Cigna. They had a code name. The secondary purpose of the NSA. I'm gonna call my guy tomorrow. If he's in the chat, man, that'll be nice. But I'm gonna call my guy tomorrow, and because right here says Project Sigma. And okay, so Project Sigma was successful. Let me back up. So the secondary purpose of the NSA, the national security, y'all got to remember, was to monitor all communications and emissions from any and all devices worldwide for the purpose of gathering intelligence, both human and aliens, and to contain the secret of the alien presence. So the NSA, after Project Cigna, was commissioned to go after the signals for the aliens. Now, what's going to be shocking is to let you know what really goes down there. So you definitely want to stick around for that. And like I said, we're going to be heading into the territory on why you want to thank them for making a deal. I know it makes sense right or why, but wait till you hear it. You're going to thank them. All right, so the NSA also maintained communication with the lunar base and other secret space programs. And by executive order, the NSA is exempt. Listen to this. Pay attention to this. Research this. Please research what I am about to say. It says that by executive order, the NSA is exempt from all laws which do not specifically name the NSA in text of the law as is being subject to that law. And what that means is if the agency is not spelled out in the text of any and every law passed by Congress, it's not subject to those laws. Boy, ain't that some stuff. And so what they're saying is the NSA can spy and do whatever they've been doing because they can do it. And as long as we, the people, we sit here and vote, let's say we vote for some privacy law, and they have all this stuff in it. We're going to protect your privacy. They can't listen to this. They can't do this. Unless they have the 3 letters in it, the NSA is included in that, they don't have to abide by the law. This is probably what Snowden, the whistleblower, was talking about. This is why he was saying they were listening. They didn't care about the Patriot law. They don't need to worry about that as long as their name is not in it. And this is an executive order that's been in place that they can continue to do as they will. They can do that. That is crazy when it comes down to this. Very, very crazy. And all I'm saying is, it is something that we want to make sure that we look at from there. That is bat crazy. So the NSA means that if they're not in it, they're not subject to the law. The NSA now performs many other duties. In fact, the premier agency within the intelligence community. And today, the NSA receives 75% of money allowed to the intelligence community. This was back when this was written in the back time. So we're talking 80s or whatever. This is a document that surfaced. So just letting you know, a report. So at this point, the money goes through that. And it's true that the DCI today is a figure maintained as public rules, and that the primary task of the NSA is still alien communication, but now includes other alien projects as well. So I'm gonna ask my guy. I'm gonna call him tomorrow. I'm gonna say, hey man, do the NSA do this? And he works there, so we'll find out. So President Truman had been keeping all of our allies, including the Soviet Union, okay, listen to me, informed of developing alien problems since the Roswell recovery. And this had been done in case that the aliens turn out to be a threat to the human race. And plans were formulated to defend Earth in case of an invasion. So let me say this again. President Truman decided that he's going to tell all the other heads of state, including the Soviet Union, even though they were our arch rivals at that point. He informed them, hey, we got an alien problem since, we discovered some things at Roswell. And this also goes to maybe you're talking about the satellite space station where American and Soviet people are working, even though we're fighting, they still up there working together for a common good. It's crazy, right? Maybe, who knows? Including now, again, this was done in case of the aliens turn out to be a threat. And plans were formulated to defend Earth, and great difficulty was encountered in maintaining international secrecy. It was decided that an outside group, listen to this part. It was decided that an outside group was necessary to coordinate and control international efforts in order to hide the secret from the normal scrutiny of governments and the press. So they decide that we need to put together a group that's going to supersede everybody's governments. A group that's going to control the media with the most powerful stuff. Because this alien secret is that big. It affects us all. No matter what country, no matter where you are. It's a global problem if it becomes a problem. So this is why you got to start thinking it's not a China thing. It's a problem for everyone. Okay? It's a problem. So the results was to form a secret society. You ready for this? There was a secret society formed to be the cover, the informants, the strategic alliance when it gets down to this alien secret. Do any of you know who that is? Do you have an idea of who it may be? If you do, put it into the chat. Because this one here, make no doubt about it, you've heard of them, but you probably didn't know. And I didn't know for a while, much as I've talked about them. But put it in a chat if you know the secret society that was formed back then to control international, you hear me, efforts in order to hide the secret from scrutiny of governments. Remember, they're superseding governments and media. Anybody got an answer for an A, for a B, or a C? I'm saying an answer, period. And I'm just waiting for a moment to do that. Okay, forget it. I'm going to go ahead and go. The results of this formation of the secret society, which became known as the Bilderbergers, which is the Bilderberg Group. The headquarters of this group is in Geneva, Switzerland. And the Bilderbergs evolved into a secret world government that now controls every fucking thing. And United Nations was then and is now an international joke. Okay. They meet in plain sight. Nobody knows what they're about, but it's always the top world of whatever. And it's the Bilderberg Group. See, I've done many shows on them. People have talked about them, ex-presidents. There's people who go that you see in attendance. And then next thing you know, they become the next president as they already know who's going to be The Chat GPT guy was there in 2022 or 21. And next thing you know, Chat GPT is the biggest thing since sliced bread. I did a story on that one. Check it out for yourself. And you're talking about, so the UN and United Nations is a joke compared to the Bilderberg Group, but they have the most powerful people. I think I did a spreadsheet once in one of my shows where I put up all the connection of the Bilderberg Group to members and board members that's on McDonald's, that's part of the media conglomerates. They're part of, their hands are in everything, and they're all connected on each other's board members, and they're controlling us like a purse string. And they're above the law, and they make no mistake. They do this in plain sight every year. We just don't know what they talk about. They have the meeting, but we don't know what they talk about at all. So in 1953, a new president occupied the White House, and he was a man used to structure, staff, and organization. This is where it's getting ready to get good, y'all. His method was to delegate authority and rule by committee. He was a major decisions, but only when it advised were unable to consensus. And his normal method was to read through or listen to several alternatives and then approve one. Those who worked closely with him had stated of his favorite comment, and that was just do whatever it takes. This dude here, he spent a lot of time on a golf course. Remember, he was known for this. And this was not unusual for him because he was already an Army veteran. Remember, he was the ultimate position of Supreme Allied Commander when he became president, and which a post carried like 5-star. It was like a 5-star general at this time. And as you know who this guy is President General of the Army, Dwight David Eisenhower. All right. So now we're getting ready to make some connections to the Rockefellers with the alien cover-up. And now we'll get to some of the stuff a little bit to why the treaty was made that they can abduct us, and why I'm beginning to think, good job. Like, when you hear some of the things I'm going to tell you, I'm like, good job. Thank y'all. Okay. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few every freaking time. Dr. Spock and Kirk taught me that through Star Trek when I was a kid. When Kirk was about to die, or Spock was about to die, and there was his friend, and he was in that radiation chamber, and he just saved everybody. And Kirk's like, forget it, man. Let me get you out because you my boy. We've been through a lot together. And Kirk, was like, open this thing up, bones. So let's get him out. And Spock said, whoa, whoa, and put his hand on the glass. I can't do the fingers, but like that. And he said, hey, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And, James T. Kirk started crying. I cried because I was like, man, Spock is going to die. But I get what he was saying. And I get why Eisenhower made the deal. Yep. That should send a little chill down your back, what we're going to hear in a little bit. That should get you going. Yeah, that should get you going. All right, so Eisenhower at this time, and his first year in office, at least 10 or more crashes happened. This happened. And there was this recovered along with 26 dead and 4 live aliens. This stuff is still going on. And of the 10, 4 were found in Arizona, 2 in Texas, and 1 in New Mexico, and 1 in Louisiana, 1 in Montana, and 1 in South Africa. And there were hundreds of sightings, though. So these things been here. They've been coming around here like a slice of bread. I mean, they're here every day. They're here. They've been here. Okay. So we know this at this point. So Eisenhower knew that he had to wrestle and beat the alien problem because he already knew it was a problem. He knew that he could not do it by revealing the secret to Congress, the people. And then early in 1953, the new president turned to his friend and fellow member of council on the foreign relations to none other than Nelson Rockefeller, and for his help with the alien secret structure of the alien task supervision, which is known to become in reality within a year, and the idea for MJ-12 was thus born. Now, I've been in this a long time. Of course, we all talk about the Majestic 12. But to think that Eisenhower contacted Nelson Rockefeller, who was at that time was the Council on Foreign Relations, who funded the government, by the way, and said, hey, man, we got an alien problem. What can you help with? And the Rockefeller says, okay, we're going to put something together. I'll put something together and see how we can handle this. And their entire family was down with this program. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, y'all hit the like button right now. Take a pause, hit the like button, please, and see if that's something that we could do, if you all can do that. If you're watching right now for the first time, you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button because it doesn't cost you anything to do that, and it helps the algorithm in the long term for views and more people to do things there. Usually, if you're here new, I usually try to make sure I turn off the ads. That's how we get monetized, and sometimes it does get distracting, but I turn them off and then try to turn them back on later. But in that time, I would hope that those who want to support the show, you can, but sometimes we need to turn them on. But at least what doesn't cost at all is you to hit the like button. Smash that like button, Truth Seekers. And I appreciate you bringing that up, Body Electric Supplement. So it was Nelson's uncle, Winthrop Aldrich, who had been crucial in convincing Eisenhower to run for president. So the whole Rockefeller family, and with the Rockefeller empire, had solidly backed up Ike, and asking Rockefeller for help with the alien problem was to be the biggest mistake Eisenhower ever made for the future of the United States and possibly for humanity. Why was that? Whoa. The whole Rockefeller family said, we in on this. And with them, the Rockefeller empire, and then asking the Rockefeller for help with the alien problem was soon to be the biggest mistake Eisenhower have ever made for the future of the United States and probably humanity. We need to investigate that as much as we need another dime on our head, right? That these people at this point, that we have a problem like that. Yeah, we definitely need to look into that. And within 1 week of Eisenhower's election, he has appointed a committee over a government organization, and the Rockefellers were responsible for planning the reorganization of the government. The New Deal programs went into a single cabinet position called Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Welfare. And when Congress approved the new cabinet position of April of 1953, Nelson was named to the post of undersecretary to the Elbert Cope Hubby. Man, that is crazy to even understand that that was going on. All right. I'm going to pause right here. I got to take a break. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Okay. Because coming up next, we're going to find out why Rockefeller, not Rockefeller, but why we signed that treaty and what happened to start all of this stuff in motion. You got to hear this. You've been waiting all night for it. And it ain't going to be, and make sure no kids are going to be hearing what I'm about to tell you. Okay. And I'm going to put a slide up for a minute. And like I said, okay, I'm going to step away to the restroom. It's going to take me about 30 minutes, not 30 minutes, 1 minute or so. Get a break. And I will put something up on the board here for you to do what you're doing there. All right. Okay, if you want some ad spots and all that, look at that for a minute. In the meantime, why don't you look at, hang on a second here. There we go. I'm going to set this up. Where is my thing here? Okay, I'll be right back. 3 minutes or less. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. All right, we're back. All right, so we're back. And if you hung around, it's going to be worth it because now we're going to get to some good part too. All the other stuff was good already. As a good recap, we were talking about how the MJ-12, CIA, all the different aliens that have crashed from 1947 to 1953, the different crafts, where they have crashed to. And some of the weirdest part was that there was a crash that had 100-meter craft, which is huge, by the way. You're talking football fields. And this thing had 17 aliens, and it had body parts, human body parts in this. And this is what started a lot of problems, because at this point, all that you think and all those things will come true, that there are a few of them that are not too friendly. But nothing compares to what you're about to hear in this next moment of what we're talking about. And let me get to the other part of the story. All right, let's give a shout out to, Miss Learn and Earn, a $5 super chat there. And let me find my applause button so we can get going here. And I want to thank you. And yes, y'all give Miss a thank you, because she is the first person that have supported this show tonight. Unsurprisingly enough, day after Christmas and all that. I get it. I understand. I don't get it, but I understand. I do get it, and I understand. All right, so drum roll. Man, let's do some drum freaking roll. And we can go into this part. In 1953, make sure you document this and the kids are not listening. This happened in 1953. Before a lot of you were born, before I was born. Astronomers looking up into the skies with their telescopes, or whatever they did, discovered large objects in space which was moving toward Earth. And they was like, wow, what's going on? It was first to believe that they was asteroids. We got a lot of movies like that. So while they was doing what they do, then they found it. Yeah, again, y'all think Miss Maryland. And again, I got virtual popcorn for sale too. It's virtual popcorn and it's a sale too. Yeah, you go to the movies, you get some popcorn. You can just buy popcorn here. I think it's like $5, but it's sweet, virtual, plenty of butter. You can cash out it and get you some popcorn. Okay. So in 1953, the astronomers discovered two large items or things in space. It was believed to be asteroids. Later, evidence proved that these objects could only be spaceships that were coming. Later, so they decided to form Project Sigma this time, which was to intercept the alien radio communications. So we had our own Project Sigma. Remember, we had Cigna and then we got Sigma, earlier, that the NSA and all that. So they intercepted the alien radio communications. Now, you got to remember, years prior to that, we sent out a signal trying to be funny and be sorry about what happened to EBE. Remember? Out of courtesy, we wanted to send out to his family because he probably told them, they're going to get you for this. Y'all should let me go home. They left that part out. So when the objects reached Earth, they took up a very high orbit around the equator. And there were there were several huge ships, and their actual intent was unknown. And we've heard many cases from the motherships. We've heard all of these different stories. We've heard these things in all of our, boogeyman stories and movies, but even Independence Day, all of this stuff. We've heard these things. And remember, the truth is in those movies. They don't just make this stuff up. It's done purposely. So the Earth, they took up a high orbit and they didn't know. But Project Sigma and a new project, Plato, through radio communications using a computer binary language, you got to remember. All right. So, and I got to give a shout out. I know I might find it disrupting, but I don't care. I want to do. I know I used to get chat. Somebody, wait to the end. That's because the ones who don't give, they want to control. But for those of you who've given, thank you, and you deserve to be acknowledged. Okay, and I can do that here, and I'll acknowledge anybody. I don't care if it's a dime. I'm going to acknowledge you. So there were several huge ships that was sitting up there, and we didn't know why they was there. And they came. And so we tried to communicate with them through a binary language. Do y'all remember the movie Contact? No, it wasn't Contact. It was another one. It was, forget the name of it, but they came and then we started doing all these little signals. Remember? Okay. And then through those communication, we was able to arrange a landing. Y'all hear me? We was able to land resulted in a face-to-face contact with alien beings from another planet. In 1953, they showed up, freaking big ass ships. Okay. Project Plato was tasked to establishing diplomatic relations with this race of space aliens. How do y'all feel about that right now? Oh my God. Rita, thank you. Really? I'm teasing. Is it real? Is that real? Jesus? Jesus. Okay. All right. Is it real? Okay. Thank you so much. For that, I'm going to go ahead hard even more for you. Entertaining in such a way. But listen to me closely. You remember we talked about, you're going to like this now. You're going to like. So y'all give a shout out to Rita for the cash out, and also Summer. Rita, and y'all give a shout out to Summer as well. And don't forget, Summer has a book. So she needs to put it in the chat for y'all to check it out. So listen to this closely, y'all. This is getting ready to get really good. So remember, EBE died. So let me bring you back up to speed. We felt bad, United States, some years prior to 1953, and we sent out a signal that was not answered, but we kept it going because we wanted to say we're sorry for whatever, out of good faith, that he's here, come and get his body. Really, really, okay? Unbeknownst some years later, the fuckers show up. 1953, some big asteroids they thought was coming to hit Earth. We find out they were spaceship. Why? Because they start slowing down. You remember Muir came some years ago, came into our orbit, went around our orbit, then it took off, went back to where it was going faster than it came, and now people are saying that they think something like that is coming back. Okay. And this is when we start jumping into the Space Force back a year or two ago. Hint, hint. Well, anyway, this particular spacecraft, they didn't know why I was here, but we then sent up messages. It's all right here in these documents. We sent up messages, and we found out by using a binary code, which is numbers. So numbers is the universal language. We all know this, right? No matter what it is, everything is on numbers. So now you understand why the other girl was so freaking, importing in the NASA story, Hidden Figures. Okay, I'm just pausing because what's about to come out of my mouth next is going to trip you out. So when these ships showed up and we decided to bargain with them, okay, to try to communicate, we reached them. A meeting was set face, but we didn't know these people were not happy. Meanwhile, conjunction, junction, what's your function? Meanwhile, a race of human-looking aliens contacted the government. Hint, hint, Galactic fucking Federation. You hear me? Meanwhile, a race of human-looking alien, Anunnaki, whoever, contacted government, and this group warned us against the aliens that was orbiting the equator and offered to help with our spiritual development. See, this is where all this has been coming from. They demanded that we dismantle and destroy our nuclear weapons as a major condition. And they refused to exchange technology, citing that we were spiritually unable to handle the technology. See, you remember we have to ascend. Everybody's talking about ascension. Everybody's talking about a spiritual growth, that the humans are not there yet. So obviously, we are being watched and groomed for that at some point. That is probably some truth in that. Okay. So at this point, you're talking about there was a spaceship there who was not too freaking thrilled, and wherever they showed up, some big ones. And we talk about all those stories. We've heard stories of the motherships. We've heard them in documentaries. We've heard them in documents. It's right here in all of this report. Okay. It was leaked a long time ago. I got it. And so they're saying that when these showed up, whoever the other ones knew there was about to be a can of whatever about to be open up. Okay. So they show up, these human looking aliens. Now they believe that we would use the new technology if they showed us to destroy each other. So obviously they already know. Listen to what they wanted. The race stated that we were on a path of self-destruction, and we must stop killing each other, stop polluting the earth, stop raping the earth natural resources, and then learn to live in harmony. Okay. So there's so many movies being made in the future. Remember the Andromeda strain, and was something else where they deliberately sent something from the future, a satellite from the future that crashed on Earth, and it released this thing that was killing us. And we had to figure out how to survive it. But they sent it back deliberately because in the future, they couldn't fight it because in the past where we were, we used up the resources that would have helped them in the future. It was called vent mining and all that stuff that was going on in the oceans. So the only way the future could survive was to tamper with the past by sending this particular, whatever it was, pathogen back in our feet. This, it was in a movie, but this stuff is coming from true stuff. And so we were able to do this. So this race stated that we got to stop killing ourselves. So you hear people talking about love and ascension. In fact, I'm reading The Keys of Life now, and one of the things it started teaching me was God love is what it's called, and how to go back and love everything. I'm talking my toe, my foot, the piece of paper, the whatever. Love, give everything love. So I'm studying this, right? And I get it because I'm starting to open up anyway while I'm studying, but I see what they're talking about here. But however, I had to put that in there. The terms was met with extreme suspicion, especially the major condition of nuclear disarmament, because they wanted us to turn off and get rid of all those nuclear weapons. Now, apparently, listen to me. Apparently, we didn't do it because we didn't. This is why we're having all of these UFOs that are turning off our nuclear weapons. We get that all the time. That is happening today, by the way. Go look it up. They come in and they turn them bad boys off. I did an interview with Bob, what's his name? Just that fast, I forgot. But anyway, Salas, Bob Salas. He was the Maelstrom Minuteman. He worked in the nuclear silos. He goes around speaking about it today, where a UFO came in, turned off and on our nuclear weapons to let us know we turning these things off. We've had numerous reports of testing rockets. Go back, look for those footages. And then while the rocket is beaming, flying across the sky, there's a UFO comes around and shoots a light beam and just try to disarm this thing in midair and go away. They was talking about it now with David Grush. We see them over our nuclear facilities for a reason. So we didn't do it because we thought it was a suspicion that this one would say, hey, turn it off. This one, now, by the way, we got these two spacecraft. Don't forget, they're sitting over orbit, motherships sitting there, and they're ticked off, and we're meeting with them. And then these aliens show up. I'm not making this stuff up. They show up, and they are human-looking face. So that'll be the Palladians, probably, the Andromedans. We done that. We don't show faces of these people. So now I get where people are coming from with the Galactic Federation. Somebody intervened. And so it was believed that the condition would have left us helpless in the face of the obvious alien threat. So we did not want to disarm our nuclear weapons because we were saying, what's the freaking is going on with these two spacecrafts that are sitting up here? Okay. Now, by the way, how many of you want a copy of this document? How many of you want this 55-page report? And we only going to go over another 5 or 6 pages, and we ain't over 5 pages 15, by the way. Imagine how far we can go in the next. We're going to be doing this, a little bit of it all week. I'm going to bring this stuff out. But if you want, all right, so yeah, I'll give you some kind of way we can think about it. It's 55 pages. It would share it with me. By the way, I have access to thousands of documents. I'm going over them now. So start beeping into these shows because we're going to start going over. I'm going to make videos, and then I'm going to be doing lives. We're going to go over documents, and then I'm going to find a way, pretty soon. This way will be a little different. You might not like it, but pretty soon we'll figure out how you can just get them. Maybe I can get them in the members area or something. I don't know. But anyway, so we didn't want the United States says, no, we're not giving up our nuclear weapons because it may make us vulnerable to us sitting up there. I don't blame them. You get what I'm saying? I don't blame them. See, I'm with Lou Elizondo with the threat narrative because everything out there is not friendly. And I know we don't want to hear that, but everybody coming into Earth, flying in and out, are not here to, save the planet. They just found a spacecraft years ago with human body parts in it. We know not everybody who abducting everybody is bringing them back. You get what I'm saying? These are things that we don't want to talk about, but yet yo ass won't disclosure. You want to know all of? No, I don't think everybody wants to know all of this. I do not think everybody want to know all of this. They just can't. They can't handle that. Let's continue because it's going to get better. It was believed that the meeting condition would leave us helpless in the face of the obvious alien threat, and we also had nothing in history to help with the decision. Nuclear disarmament of the United States, the overtures were rejected. You see what I'm talking about? So the powers that be turned around and said, no, we are not giving up our nuclear weapons. But think about history. Why are there only a few other countries that has nuclear weapons, and then now the ban for other countries not to be able to do that? I don't do politics here, but it makes sense to why they're all pissed off. Because we got weapons they can't build, and somebody is monitoring them that nobody else can have them. We got the Bilderberg groups. We got all of these people. So think about it. You're in a country, you can't build one. What? Freedom. We can't defend ourselves, but you can do something to us. But you got to understand we took the same approach when they showed up in our skies, right? We took the same approach. Plain and simple. We did. So that's something that we got to think about. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Smash it right now. I don't know how many likes. Somebody tell me how many likes we have on this thing today. Put it in the chat. And let's go. All right. So later in 1954, the race of large-nosed gray aliens, which had been orbiting the Earth, landed at Holloman Air Force Base. Yes, reptilians are real. We got 118, 128. Come on, hit that like button. If you haven't done it already, smash the like button. It's free. It's free. All right, so now in 1958, so they've been sitting up there for a while. Nobody knew, and we didn't really have a lot of technology, but the space race is going. We're trying to get people on the freaking moon, and you got to remember, we didn't ever go back to the moon because why? We were told not to go there. See, now all of this comes together for you, especially if you were a skeptic. Did we go to the moon? Where you go? Who cares? I don't care about that part. It's that part that the rumor has it we were told not to bring our asses back because the dark side of the moon was their observation. Neil Armstrong, all of them are saying it in their radio transmission. Santa Claus is watching. So all this is not conspiracy. It's the real stuff. It really is. So later in 1954, the race of large-nosed gray aliens, which had been orbiting the Earth, we talked about that, landed in Holloman Air Force Base. And a basic agreement was reached. The race identified themselves originated from a planet around the red star in the constellation of Orion, which was called the Betelgeuse or whatever. Could be baloney, but Betelgeuse. So an agreement was reached. And an agreement was reached. I can stop there now. I can stop now. Because y'all might not want to hear no more of this. Because if I keep going, it's gonna, Yes, that's how you pronounce that, whatever how it is. Billy Cat, you're correct. All right, so later, these gray aliens show up. large nose freaking aliens. Okay. Remember, we've already had crashes. I talked about at the beginning of the show of insectoids. See, that would have freaked me out, seeing some insectoid-looking creatures flying spacecraft. I can't imagine the mantis out there in my tree line, it would fly in a spaceship, but I guess so. We already talked about those things earlier. We talked about all of the different crafts. In 1947, it was 63 alien bodies. So between 1947 and 53, it's all in the first beginning of this report. And then we talked about all those things. And now the large race with the large nose shows up, orbiting Earth, landed at Holloman Air Force Base. A basic agreement was reached. The race identified themselves originated from the planet around the red star in the constellation of Orion, which is called Betelgeuse or whatever. They stated, listen, they stated that their planet was dying and that it at some unknown future time would no longer be able to survive there. They wouldn't be able to do that. Why does this make so much sense that they show up here to Earth and they make a deal and say, we need to, our planet is going to die. So how can we survive as a species? We can't be seen walking around because the humans can't do it. We can't be seen doing it. Thus, hint, hint, probably form why we have hybridization now. This is probably why they're now hibernating or not hibernating, but hybrids. They're breeding so that they can look like us. See, we hear those stories all the time. Everybody's talking about the fact that they have babies or they've been put on some spacecraft or everything else. And now all of a sudden it's making sense. It's coming together tonight. It's coming together for you. So their planet is dying. They say we need to make a deal here. We still have the other people orbiting. We still got the human like. So these are species, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that are out there. But there's some pact of they don't want to destroy whatever is happening here. It's some universal law that we cannot interfere, which also points out, by the way, is when you hear Dr. Stephen Greer and a lot of them saying, even that Israeli prime minister, y'all remember him right before Trump left office? He said that the extraterrestrials are coming and that the rumor has it that they are pushing disclosure because they feel that it is time for us to know about them. Now, I don't know who they, because there's plenty of species, but obviously we've been talking about that as an undercurrent in ufology, that there's something big happening. They want us to know something, or they're prepping and priming people to have an expectation. We've heard about the Roman Catholic or the not Roman, but the Vatican have called in all of their spiritual leaders last year, not just all of them, but many from across the world. And they all was there for the new alien revelation. And the whole point was to come up with the storyline that those particular aliens also worship Jesus Christ or Christians too, or however they want to put it. Because you got to keep the control of everything, because that's mass hysteria. That's what's going to happen if some type of revelation comes out. And the question is, who is their God? Who are their gods, right? That is going to happen. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to happen. All right, let's keep going. Y'all want more? We got more. How long we been here tonight? All right, so we've been here for almost 2 hours. Yeah, we've been here almost 2 hours. Yeah. Yeah, we've been here. Is it 2 hours? I think we have. I'm just checking something here. I am checking something. All right, so we've been here and Yeah. Okay, so we've been here a couple of hours, almost a couple of hours. So let me continue to do what we're doing. All right. So later, as they talked about, and they stated that the planet was dying, and they, in a future time, they're no longer be able to survive. This led to a second landing at the Edwards Air Force Base. Now, the historical event had been planned in advance, and the details of the treaty have been arranged upon. Eisenhower arranged to be in Palm Springs. All right, so in 1954, the gray aliens with the long nose show up. We already had the aliens that came already. We already had the human-looking aliens who contacted our government and said, hey, by the way, don't trust them. God damn. Don't trust them. The ones who are there, I guarantee you it's probably reptilians or whatever. But don't trust them. And we can help you, but you need to give up your nuclear weapons. So we thought we was being tricked. I get it. Hoorah for the government. Because if you some blue-green people and you show up out of nowhere and start telling me you love me and put up my gun, and somebody else is over there with bigger guns, but put mine up and blah, 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 I don't trust you either. Good God, googly, think our government and the people that were there was not stupid enough to say, okay, wait a minute, because we don't know what would have happened. We really don't. We know what has not happened since we still got our nuclear weapons. We know that for sure. We do know. So a year later, and then all of a sudden another group shows up because this was already planned. So the meeting, and Eisenhower arranged to meet them in Palm Springs. And on the appointed day, the president was spirited away to a base, and the excuse was given to the press that he was visiting the dentist. And that's about the best they can come up with, that he was visiting the dentist. Crazy, right? Now, from outer space, let me go back. Okay. Let me go back here. Okay, so President Eisenhower met with the alien, and a formal treaty between the alien nation and the United States of America was signed. So Eisenhower met with these aliens, and they signed a treaty. Okay, we could feel that we were sold out, ran a boozle, led astray, used, or whatever. But the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And the ambassador from outer space, had a name. His name was Omnipotent Highness Krill. Omnipotent Highness Krill was the alien name. Okay. What a name. Why not? Why not? And he pronounced his name Krill. In an American tradition of disdain for royal titles, he was secretly called the original hostage Krill. Dumbasses. And you should know that the alien flag is known as a trilateral insignia. I looked that up last night. We actually sell those, by the way. You can go to Etsy and different places and get the trilateral insignia. That was the alien seal. Now, people walking around with it now probably don't know that. They call it something else. Did anybody know that? That the trilateral insignia right now was the seal that Krill wore? And then this is why we see a lot of triangles in all of our space programs. The history is there. Crazy, right? The history is there. So now it's displayed on their craft, and it was worn on their uniforms. And both of these landings and the second meetings were filmed. So the film actually exists. Now, here's the last part where we're going to probably finish tonight. And we'll continue tomorrow, if you like, which will be Wednesday. And then we'll go Thursday, Friday. We'll continue because this is something you all should know. So the treaty stated this. Listen closely. This is what the whole title of the movement was about, of the video. The treaty stated that the aliens would not interfere in our affairs and would not interfere in theirs. So you don't bother us, we ain't gonna bother you. Okay. We will keep their presence on Earth a secret. We are fighting to do that. I get it now why the big secret keepers are doing it. Now we know there's more to that meets the eye like Transformers. We know this, right? We're not going to assume that we don't know, but we do understand it's critical that if we sign a treaty to keep them secret or whoever it is, and why should we keep them a secret is next. They would furnish us with advanced technology and would help us in our technological development. And they would not make any treaty that they would not make any treaty with any other Earth nations. Who gives a fuck? So they make a treaty with us, but they won't make a treaty with Russia and the rest of them. So what does that mean? Do they give us superiority over them? Do they at least make sure we stay in advanced technology? Because you got to remember, and I'm telling you now, I had a secret clearance. I don't tell I worked for a government contractor when I was young. I built weapons, and I was working in a defense contractor. But here's the point. I don't talk about that a lot at all, period. But I will talk about is you probably saw this earlier. You can find me on Open Minds. You can find me on Beyond Belief. I'm a host of a TV show on the Alien Endgame. You can find me on a TV show on Fox Tubi. You can find me on Forbidden Knowledge, Black Knight satellite documentary, also 8 episodes on Forbidden Knowledge TV, the Discovery Channel. I was featured on the History Channel, Ancient Aliens. I'm also in a show called I Want to Believe 1. I'm in a show called I Want to Believe 2, and I'm in a show called Bigfoot something. You can find that on Amazon Prime. And then I got a couple other projects coming out. So I got 9, 10 TV credits, all about UFOs and aliens and all of this stuff. So why do I want you to know that? Because I want you to hit the like button. I want you to subscribe to the channel, support the effort, because you're getting ready to get a little more. I've been working on the ambiance here for you. I've been working on the delivery for you. A lot of things. And you've seen a couple of great interviews. You're going to get more. All because we're going to be the sugar, honey, and iced tea right here. The best of the best. You better believe that shit. Playtime is over. So we won't make any other treaty, and they won't make another treaty with any other Earth nation. Here is the part. You make sure the kids are put to sleep before I say this. I'll give a 10-second pause of its station identification. You're here on Roderick Martin High Strangeness. And where we believe that we're going to produce things here that, as my tagline would say, you may not believe it. All right, so I hope you put the kids up. They could abduct humans on a limited periodically basis for the purpose of medical examination and monitoring of our development, with the stipulation that humans would not be harmed and would be returned to their point of abduction, and that the humans will have no memory of the event, and that the alien nation will furnish MJ-12 with a list of all human contacts and the abductees on a regular scheduled basis. What the freaking flying whatever? You want me to read that again? Maybe you do. Maybe I didn't do my little thing. My little,
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that part. The deal that was signed by Eisenhower, representing the people of the United States of America, and probably globally, by the way, or at least a deal that they made with us. It's probably why we get a lot of abductions here and only here and landings here and all this stuff around here, because they got to deal with the United States, help us with technology. And I said this before, there's not a planet out there, not a planet, but another country that has more fierce and more technologically advanced military than the United States of America. I don't care. Don't fear China. Don't fear Russia. Don't fear none of them. We have the most fierce military might on this planet, and we've always been, and then still getting better. When I worked there when I was young, It was terrible stuff that we had. And now you can see it. You see what's happening in these other places now being supplied by us, and they're defending themselves. Oh, they may take an ass whooping, but they're defending themselves because they're using our old technology. We just take this. We don't use it no more. So don't get in no propaganda. We get in an all-out brawl without. No, this is why we are the hated people over here. Because, and we do some crazy stuff. I'm not saying the big secret keepers don't, but I'm telling you, that's not your worry, period. We got to worry about stuff from somewhere else off the planet. So they signed the treaty, Eisenhower and Creel, and they said, once again, I'm going to read it to you again as we get ready to come to the close for tonight. And I'm telling you, I'm only on page 13. I haven't even got to the other 40 pages. The stuff gets better. I mean, it's crazy. But they could abduct humans on a limited and periodic basis for the purpose of medical examination and the monitoring of the developing, with the stipulations that the humans would not be harmed. So they're going to abduct us and we won't be harmed. We will be returned to the point of abduction, and that the humans would have no memory. So this is why they're wiping people's memories. It's part of the deal. Wipe the memory. But they probably don't have it perfect. Is why people are still getting ghost memories. And not of ghosts, but of these abductions. It's coming back to them. They're seeing it. They're feeling it. Because what is going on? People are getting those. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen. And that MJ12, which is this stuff was going on back in the 40s and 50s. So we're talking about, I'm giving you some old stuff, bringing you up. Okay. So you can imagine how it's accelerated and expanded today compared to then. So just think about the exponential growth of all of this stuff. But with a list of the human contacts and the abductees on a regular basis. Damn it. Now, why do we lead everything in the United States? Because the next statement should get you in a frenzy. It was agreed that each nation would receive the ambassador of the other for as long as the treaty remained in force. So we get ambassadors from their planet or wherever they come from, and then they get some of ours. It was further agreed that the alien nation in the United States would exchange 16 personnel to each other with the purpose of learning each other. Remember, there's been documents surfaced remember this guy, I forget his name, but he claimed that he was part of this group that went off. They sent them off, and that he was part of this group. Oh my God, I got to think of it. But there you go. This stuff is playing out big time. And the alien guests will remain on Earth, and the human guests will travel to the alien point of origin for a specified period of time and then return, at which a reverse exchange will be made. It's necessary that they got to bring us back because our timeline and life expectancy is not the same as theirs. So they keeping us, but we dying. They over here, they staying forever because they can live thousands of years, apparently. All right. It was also agreed that the bases, boy, should I go any further? We're going to start this tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll get into where now we're going to talk about all these dumbs and all that in the bases and how there is a center Earth or now we know there. You're going to know you're going to know tomorrow. Make sure all of you come back tomorrow at 8 p.m. We're going to talk about now, give you information about extraterrestrials inside the Earth, and they're here underground. We're going to go over all of that and more tomorrow. Okay. I hope that you got something out of tonight because, like I say, these are hidden reports that I got thousands of them. Somebody sent them to me. Got a big ass box. And I can talk about it. It was a note. It was cool. And I'm going to share it with my audience nightly as much as I can. Some small videos, uploads. You're not gonna find none of this out there. I got thousands. I mean, I'm looking at this stuff like blown the fucking away. And you're gonna start hearing it here. So spread the word. Now, I'm gonna try to figure out a way. Some of you may not like what you're about to hear, but that's fine. I don't know how to get these documents and figure out a way to put them in the members area because the PDFs, they're not videos, or maybe put up another site or whatever. But I will say this. And don't tread this lightly, but if you really want a copy of all this, you got to read this. And I'm afraid to even let most of you read. You probably won't come back and sleep and stuff. But if you want to contribute to the show tonight, you don't have to. Otherwise, you can stay here and I'll go over all this over the next week, whatever. So don't worry about it. But if you want to contribute to the show, the Cash App is there. Christmas is there. Christmas tree. Let me put it up. If you do Cash App value, I mean, don't, waste your time, because it's going to take my time. If you say, okay, Roderick, I send you a dollar bill to go walk in there and upload this thing and send it. Because when you send it, I need you to put your email address as the note in the Cash App and then just put DOC. Then I know you're doing it for the document. But, I don't want everybody to do it, just those who want, because I don't want to get all of this stuff out. But this is for the serious enthusiasts. Otherwise, just be here tomorrow. We're going to go over part 2 of 5, probably. And we're going to talk about the Intra-Earth stuff that's in here, the bases, and all of this stuff, and where these aliens are here. You hear me? They're here. Okay? They've been here. I've said it anyway. I told y'all anyway, they've been here. But anyway, so you could go to there. And you can put it up on, let me make sure I have my little thing. So there it is right there, Alien Christmas Tree. You can support the show however you want to do it and be most appreciative to do that. Like I say, if you do want value and you want it, put it in the notes of the Cash App and put your email address. And I'll send you a downloadable link at some point. In Canada, Cash App doesn't work. I have PayPal, at the same time, and we would do that as well. And so we will make sure that, and yes, let me say this. Or what can I say? Hang on one second before we get out of here. And Rita, yes, you will get yours. You qualify for sure. I'm gonna send it to you. So just give me a few hours. I'll get it all uploaded. I won't redact some of the information, maybe something in particular, one of the pages, but I will get them uploaded and I'll send it out through my shopping cart thing with a link, and I'll just put it up and send it out to you. And we will do that. If you do see it in the shopping cart, don't buy it because I'm going to set it high because it's not there for buy. I'm going to use that for my distribution unless you just really want to contribute. But I'm going to use it to send it out to the people because I can do a service link to you, a downloadable link. And it's going to be blocked so you can't share it. So don't try to share it. It's going to be blocked. And we could do that. So with that being said, did everybody enjoy the show tonight? Put it in chat. I want to thank each one of y'all for being here and get ready. We're going to do more for you in the future. That's for sure. And once again, support the Phenon app. And if you haven't had an opportunity as well, you can go to roderickmartin.com and you can get my ebook. I have an ebook that is about the UFO conspiracy. So definitely check out the ebook. You can go to roderickmartin.com and in this instant download, you can pay through PayPal or use any debit cards through PayPal and support the book as well. In fact, if you do buy the ebook tonight and you get a double dose, I'll have your email address and I'll send you this document as well. For those of you who buy the ebook, I'll send you a copy. If not people who've done it before, I'm talking to new people. It's inspiring, as you know. I will open up the real quickly if y'all want. I will put a link in the chat if anybody want to join up and discuss what we talked about tonight. Any questions? If you do want to come in, I will put a link in the description. You click it, make sure your camera is on and lighting, audio, and then it'll bring you up in the chat. And I'll open this up now for 10 minutes. If nobody decides to put yes that you want to, then I will, just shut us down from there. But tonight was a good one. I hope once again that you had a great Christmas and all of the things that you enjoyed and get all the things that you want and do, and pretty much. And I will leave the floor open. If you want to join and have a conversation, you can come on board and do that. If not, we will be back here tomorrow, 8 o'clock, part 2. And then we'll probably have a part 3. And then we'll have this thing's a lot. Woo, man, a lot. I'm telling you, it's a lot. Is the popcorn real? As real as it get? Yes. And if you want, have a virtual popcorn. They're $5. And it's virtual because you're going to think of the butter that's on here. You're going to think of the flavor, and as you pretend and remember, because everything is going toward this anyway. So you're going to visualize yourself eating it. You're going to visualize yourself tasting it. You're going to taste the buttery. You can sprinkle a little salt on it right now yourself, and you probably can taste it right now. And then you're enjoying the show as though you were at the movies and you paid $20 and all y'all went to the movie theater anyway. And you get more information today you would have got from the movie theater anyway, so you can support. But if you want some virtual popcorn, you can do that here. Yes. All right. Yes, you could do that. Think about the butter. It's buttery, baby. This is some buttery butter. If you want some butter, sprinkle this butter that I have right here all over your popcorn and make it all succulent as you eat. And don't grab a bunch. Just do a little popcorn by itself. Just a little bit, one poppy kernel at a time, so you can savor the flavor and the essence that I put into the popcorn virtually for you. So it can, everybody's using AI to make freaking the guy and women of their dreams. Hell, this popcorn is all for you. Okay. All right. What's your PayPal handle? It is, let me see here. Let me find it for you. There we go. Okay, it's on the screen there. PayPal is contact@whythebigsecret.com. Okay. It's on the bottom of the screen, scrolling right there at the bottom. The Cash App and PayPal. Contact@whythebigsecret.com. And that is for who asked that? Mima. There you go. That is for you. You can't say popcorn, and I love it. Why? Oh, yeah, she say popcorn. Ooh-wee. Popcorn. All right, I'm finding out about your heart. She says popcorn, take us to the heart. All right, so I want to say it's a plum, please, and pleasure, as well as a privilege having you here tonight. I'm Roderick Martin, and definitely, like I said, the years to come, we got a lot of stuff coming in. I want to thank you for being here yourself. If you have an experience that you want to share some information and then maybe be a guest on the show, use our email address, contact@whythebigsecret.com. Make sure you include your telephone number, because I will call you personally to not only hear your story, but also set up time. And maybe you're not comfortable coming forward. You just want to explain it. Maybe I can answer some of the things for you from my experience. Be more than happy to do so. And I want to thank you. If you're new here from Black Magic 365 and you saw the other day, I want to thank you for coming over as well. Please make sure right now you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, set those alerts, look at some of the other videos tonight so that we can do that for you. In the meantime, we will get on out of here. And I'll close us out right about now. Good night, everyone.